I'm shooting this upside down. This is Kevin Duggan signing a book for someone, and that is Sheila Keenan right there, and they're going to talk about their new book, As the Crow Flies. And let me back up, get you. This is off the cuff, instant movie. Can you scoot in a little bit closer there, Sheila?
Okay.
And go ahead.
Hey. Oh, sorry, interrupted the movie.
That's fine. It's all part of it. This is real life.
All right. So, Kev, do you want to talk first or what? Sure. You talk first while I sign.
So, the book came about. We were living here in Troy, and we already were fans of crows, I guess. And then after a while, I became aware that crows were behaving really interestingly here, which was that they were, in the wintertime, they would start gathering, and you would start seeing them come across the sky in these sort of waves. And then finally I sort of figured out and sort of tracked down that they were gathering down by the river. I'd never really seen anything quite like that before, just these hundreds or thousands of these crows all gathering in this community. And then as we read more about crows, we really learned that they're amongst the smartest animals. They're very social. They have very complex social relationships.
Oh, and also that this roosting was deliberate behavior. It wasn't that they were just flying around Troy. They actually, probably the majority of them, lived somewhere else during the day, because crows maintain their own communities, but they were actually flying here at night from various places, north, west, south, and east, so that they could all sleep together here, which is what roosting is. It's sleeping together in the winter, and scientists are still trying to figure out why they do this. They think it might be to possibly find mates for the new spring season, or it might be to share information about where food is, or just that they like getting together. But once they do it, for them, it's like a big crow Woodstock. If you watch what they're doing when they're roosting, they usually fly down from up by the cemetery and like swoop down. It's very Hitchcock-like. But then when they get there, they're all like fooling around. They're like twisting and twirling, and I've heard them bark like dogs. They like are playing with each other. They're just generally fooling around like kids' roughhouse sort of. And then it sort of slows down as it gets darker. And then they're just sleeping, and you probably don't even see them. They're just these outlines in the trees.
But I think that, for us, the point was, what can we learn about being alive from these other creatures? What is it that we share with them? We typically sort of ignore the other living creatures that we share the world with. We think it's our world, and they're just sort of peripheral to it. But it's their world too. They're going about living their lives as we live our lives, and we tend not to look at them. So the book is really about paying attention to this other kind of society that's parallel to ours, shares our space, and occasionally does this sort of amazing thing of gathering together in a way that we can really relate to. It's the idea of the community.
And we like doing crows too because they're so ubiquitous. Unlike writing a book about some exotic tropical bird, which it's good to have books about them too, but that not everybody's going to have a chance to see. And again, it does what Kevin's saying, it pushes that world out to exotica. We were really interested in what's going on with animals that are right next to us, living this parallel kind of life, and everybody can see crows. They're virtually everywhere on the planet except Antarctica. So it's something that anybody can have a chance to see. So we're hoping this one old lady that we know read this book and goes, you know what, I just don't ever look at them the same way anymore. And that's kind of what we wanted with this book, is that even if you hate them because they're too noisy or dirty or whatever, you're going to think about them a different way, because you know that they're in their world doing something. It's not just a haphazard.
They're also beautiful. They're really, we tend to think that they're just this sort of solid black fur, but when you spend time looking at them, you realize that they have all these different colors sort of in there, and they're just really, handsome creatures to look at.
And smart. In the general animal intelligence scale, they're up there with dolphins. And if you go on YouTube, you can find videos of crows using bottle caps to snowboard, using wire to make a tool to get something out of the bottom of a bottle. I mean, they are really, really smart animals. They recognize people, which is why a lot of scientists who are working with crows often wear masks when they're going up to their nests to look for them, because the crows recognize them and remember them for years and will harass them. So if they see them coming again. So they're just, that kind of intrigues us too, an animal that's very smart, and also an animal that's like us a lot. They're very social. They live in generations. You know, a lot of birds, the birds hatch, they learn to fly, they're off, that's it. But crows live in multi-generations just like we do. They live in the same places all the time. They're always talking. They're very gabby. They're very nosy. They like to know what's going on. They're always interstuffing. So, I don't know, they kind of appeal to us in the way that their behavior is similar to ours, but we don't want to anthropomorphize them either. So that's kind of why we got into it. And they were here. They were everywhere here when we were here. I think the crow roost also moves slightly, often because people don't want them, understandably. Some people don't want to live in the middle of the noise. There can be a lot of bird detritus around. But as a phenomenon, it's pretty amazing to watch. So, and thank you for having us.